Welcome to all the dignitaries in this program. Like some of Madhav sir or someone else already mentioned that NENCID is really getting wider and we are getting participants from the wider circle. It's really great. Today, as a part of the NENCID Friday talk program, we are in the seventh in this episode in the series. The ground rule for this program is the session will be an hour long, and first 25 minutes will be a presentation, which will be followed by question and answer and also discussion session. So our presenter will present for 25 minutes. Today we have our very own Dr. Prachanda Pradhan. I think his name is enough. He doesn't need any introduction, but I'm trying to introduce in very, very brief. Even if I take even an hour, his introduction would not be complete. He is a patron of Farmer Managed Irrigation System Promotion Trust. He is working for the last 40 years to promote the knowledge and understanding about farmer managed irrigation system. He did his PhD long back, 1969 from USA, before, I think 10 years before that I was born. He engaged in various research and teaching activities. Some of them includes teaching and research in the Tribhuwan University until 1980 as a professor of public administration, and also he served as a dean with the institute with business administration during 1972 to 75. He also worked in different other capacities with across the globe, like research associate at the John Kennedy School of Government, Harvard in 1972, Fulbright visiting professor at the Center for International Studies at the Cornell University in 1979, visiting scholar with Indiana University, USA in 2002, among others. He worked in Asia and Africa with different international agencies like International Water Management Institute from 1986 to 93. He also worked with World Bank, ADB, GTZ, IFAD, and FAO in different capacity. He has a very good exposure, understanding, and knowledge from the different part of the world. He has published several books and papers. We can go to his website, prachandashare.wordpress.com, for his detailed publication. He's really energetic even in this age, and he has contributed whatever he has contributed. He's tried to disseminate through his website. He has published collaborative books with Nobel laureate Ostrom also. So with this very, very brief background, I would like to invite Prachanda sir for delivering his speech.
This is a great opportunity for me to share some of my thoughts, ideas with you about these new topics for me, federalism and irrigation in Nepal. First of all, I would like to thank to Jigyasha Rai for organizing this, for giving me this opportunity to share some of my ideas. While preparing my this presentation, many people have helped me, and one of them is Prachanda Pradhan, and Chetman Buratapa has tremendously helped me in getting me lots of information about this federalism and say irrigation system. Then I had lots of discussion with Umesh Parajuli some time ago about this issue, how to go about with this change and all those kinds of things. And right at the outset, I would like to share a couple of information. One is very interesting PhD thesis was submitted by Mr. Jagdish Parajuli in Arizona State University, which talks about the institutional arrangement for the irrigation development in Nepal, and talks about the uncertainties in irrigation development in Nepal. And then there is another book, another thesis, which is very brilliant thesis by Atul Pokharel on the institutional development and the trust based on irrigation development. So these research documents might be very useful for our policy planners and policy development workers. With this note, I would like to start my discussion over here, as the organizer suggested to me that my presentation will be for 25 minutes. I will try to do that within 25 minutes. The topics which is given to me is quite interesting in the sense that irrigation institutions reform need in the federal context in Nepal. And this is the kind of new phenomenon that we see in the irrigation development. Now, let me start with the institution itself. There are different opinions about the irrigation, but from the anthropological points of view, we look at irrigation as a kind of relationship between human beings governed by certain norms, rules, and the regulation. They are called regulation. And some institutions don't have form and others have form, like family is an institution. When we talk family as an institution, it's a kind of understanding of relationship among the members within that family. Or we might call marriage. Marriage is a kind of relationship between the human beings, but that is also called institution. Therefore, institution has a kind of different connotation for different contexts. And here in our study, we see the same kind of feature. For general understanding, what I would say that an institution will have the feature of sustainability or community ownership. That is the kind of institution. Wider membership and the commitment for that particular objective. That is another feature of an institution. And local resources are provided to govern the institution. And the same way, sometimes external support is also provided. That's why the institution would have these kinds of features. The institution that we see over here, sometimes institution is also called organization, and oftentimes interchangeable, like irrigation department is also called organization. That way, we see different features of institution, and sometimes we get really confused, but we should not get confused. What we need to see over here is a kind of certain basic principle under which the relationships are established that we have to take into consideration as institution, but oftentimes the organization is also referred as institution, like the Department of Irrigation or Ministry of Irrigation. But the context will have to be different. But the important thing is, when we talk about irrigation, the objective of irrigation development has to be very, very specific and very clear. It is not only the construction or it is not only the flow of water, but there are many, many features within the irrigation. So within this federal context in Nepal, as many of you are aware that Nepal remained as the unitary country for a long period of time, and recently the Constitution 2015 brought state restructuring, introducing federal system in Nepal, and that change required lots of changes in different fronts: mental, material, legal, reorganization of resources, resource allocation, and management. The same way, what we see over here is, while studying the master's degree in my political science degree, we were taught about this federal system, and we taught. And before that also, when we were student in intermediate, we have to study Indian Constitution, and Indian Constitution is federal system. So at that time we were taught India is quasi-federal system. And when we talk of quasi-federal system, means India is not the full-fledged federal system. It is partly unitary and partly federal kind of system. Now, when we talk about Nepal, whether Nepal is a kind of federal system or unitary system, or it is the combination, still, we have lots of confusion over here, at least for me as the political scientist. I have difficulties in understanding the way how this whole system is going on. It is neither fully federal nor half federal nor quarter federal. So this is my argument, which I will follow on later on as well. So irrigation system development in historical context is very important over here. There are historical evidence of irrigation system for agricultural production during NENCID period. That is the longest historical event and the evidences that we call. And Sudarshan Tiwari, while studying the ancient heritage of Nepal, he identified that Hadigao, the kingdom of Lichavi period, had allocated irrigation for agricultural production in that area. And during Malla period, we see lots of state-sponsored irrigation system development in Kathmandu Valley. That is in Lalitpur, Bhaktapur, and Kathmandu. There were many, many irrigation systems, and that's why Kathmandu could afford to have a kind of this historical monuments all over because of extra agriculture production here in Nepal. And this is what is reported. In the same way, not only in Kathmandu Valley, there were many irrigation systems like in Jumla. And one of the classical studies done by Bihari Krishna Shrestha in this Lok Sanskriti, the study was done under the leadership of Mr. Joshi back in 2028. These are 28 Sal. At that time, he identified the irrigation system existed in Jumla. And Jumla is a kind of society which has even then had a kind of what you call orthodox traditional society, but the irrigation system developed and managed over there was a kind of community managed, community based. Even the landlords have to follow the rules and the regulation of irrigation system. They cannot go away with the existing rules and regulations. So he identified that first existing irrigation, farmer managed irrigation system in his book on this Lok Sanskriti. So then you might see the Mani Mukunda Sen in Palpa, which is considered as one of the old irrigation system in Nepal. So in those days, we don't have unified system. It is scattered all over Nepal. And there are many landmark events in determining the governance of mode of irrigation in Nepal. They are, say, the Ramsar Edict, which specifically says that the water-related conflict be settled by the community itself. Don't bring those kinds of issues to the palace. That means local water resource management responsibility is given to the local people. That's very, very important aspect. And then you come to Jangabadur's time, Mulki Ain, and there is one provision in Mulki Ain which is called Jaga Birauni section. And in that Jaga Birauni section, it is specifically mentioned that anybody can construct irrigation, but once the irrigation system is constructed by either private investment or public investment, it is not allowed to have another irrigation system above the existing irrigation system. And it has to be up to certain distance. That means the irrigation system constructed by either party, either public or private, has been guaranteed by the state law, saying that any irrigation system has to be constructed only below the existing irrigation system, not above. So this is a kind of interesting phenomenon during the time of Rana regime. That means Rana regime has created a kind of environment where private investment were was encouraged. And you might even come across that there were provisions of tax exemption if somebody construct irrigation system in those days. That means land revenue for 3 years or land revenue for 5 years will be exempted by the government when new irrigation systems are constructed and new lands are, cultivated. But at the same time, there were interesting provision. Land revenue is fixed in terms of the availability of water. Any land having 2 times of irrigation oil land will have to pay more tax. And then other type of land will have to pay less tax. So based on the water availability, land tax is also fixed in those days. So this is very interesting arrangement. Land tax arrangement based on water, and then allowing the local people to have the construction and encourage them to develop the irrigation system. And then only in 1923, we see the coming of public irrigation system, that is Chandra Nor and the Juda Nor by the Rana regime. So these are just a new development of public irrigation system, but even Chandra Nor was managed by, say, decentralized system in the sense that the Ranas gave a kind of sanat and sawal to the landlords of that area and asked them to manage the irrigation system. So this is kind of interesting phenomena we see over here. The irrigation landscape has changed over a period of time. As I have said, that we have seen kind of private investment in the irrigation development, and so many of those irrigation systems we can categorize as farmer-managed irrigation system, and those irrigation systems were self-governing, autonomous, community-based irrigation system based on the individual or private individuals' investment. As over a period of time, we can see changes in the irrigation scenario, new developments came, government investment also came in, and over a period of time, around 1970s, large scale irrigation systems were introduced by the government with the help of these foreign assistance like Narani irrigation or say big irrigation like Moran Sunsari, and these irrigations came around 1970s and 80s. So looking at all these kinds of features, what we see, 70% irrigation systems are still managed by the farmers themselves, as it is said, and 30% irrigation systems are managed by agency, means government directly supporting those irrigation systems, and those irrigation systems are in terms of joint managed system or management transfer system, and those kinds of things came. And not only that, their efforts were made to have the introduction of new technologies in irrigation system by the help of extraction and utilization of groundwater, lift irrigation system, and solar irrigation system, and new kinds of irrigation systems came in. And the new approaches were also introduced in terms of participatory irrigation, management turnover, management transfer. So Department of Irrigation was the center of all these activities. Now over here, the irrigation department, what are the organizations we have? Irrigation department under the different ministries. So it started 1952. And since then, this irrigation department went through a kind of different forms and different characteristics and different responsibilities. At the initial stage, it was just for the construction and supervision of kind of irrigation development. And you might see in 1956, we had first fiber plant. And in that first fiber plant, it is said that Nepal has only about 14,000 hectare irrigation system. And that time, 14,000 hectare irrigation system means they have calculated only government managed irrigation system, and they have not taken into consideration of the existence of farmer managed irrigation system. That time we used to have 8.4 million population, and 14,000 hectare irrigated agriculture will not be able to provide food to that 8.4 million population. One can easily see the situation. I would like to say over here that I might be one of those fortunate persons. Since the establishment of irrigation department, the first director general, as it is reported, was Medani Prasad, who happened to be one of my neighbors in my old age. So I had opportunity interacting with him, not him as the director general or director of irrigation department, but I know him. After that, we had Colonel Adhikari, if I am not mistaken, as the director general. So he happened also to be my Tolia in Patron. So since then, I know each and every director general of Department of Irrigation up to now, including our Director General, Mr. Sushil Acharya. So I feel I'm very fortunate, and all of them gave me enough support for me to do study on irrigation sector in Nepal. Now, what I'm talking over here is the irrigation organization and institutions. That irrigation department was under different ministries since 1952, sometimes agriculture under agriculture ministry, sometimes water resources ministry. And at present, we have Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation, and sometimes they are also splitted. And Water and Energy Commission came in, Board of for groundwater, until all the irrigation things came in. And in late 80s, irrigation department got amalgamated with number of different other organizations. In those days, Farm Irrigation Water Utilization Division under Ministry of Agriculture was also active in irrigation development. The same way, Agriculture Development Bank was also supporting irrigation development in those days. Ministry of Panchayat and Local Development used to help the local irrigation system in those days. So in say around 89, 90, when this basic need fulfillment objective was established in Nepal, at that time, all these agriculture related, irrigation related institutions were brought under one umbrella, that is Department of Irrigation, and district irrigation offices were established since then. And then again, we have reorganization with this, what you might call from this federal system. So these are the changes we can see over here. Now, what are the landmark changes we are going to see after this new constitution came into Nepal? That is 2015. Envisages the establishment of federal system in Nepal. That is a kind of totally different kinds of state structure we are proposing here, which require a kind of change. And that change is the change brought this allocation of roles and responsibilities among different levels of state structures. They are central level, provincial level, and local agencies. At least it is visualized 3 levels of organization. One is central and the provincial, and the third one is the local level.
Prachanda sir, we appreciate if you can wrap up in 5 minutes, please.
Okay, that is going to happen. That's right. Here we see the Constitution, and Constitution has provision of defining the role of different levels. That role was defined in terms of say state list, and then that is called central list, then provincial list, and then say you can come down to local list. Now, what I'm trying to see, it is not only that those lists we are talking about. We are talking about there are many other different agencies involved in the irrigation sector. It is not only, say, the Department of Irrigation and the Ministry of Water Resources, National Planning Commission. At the provincial level, we have Ministry of Infrastructure, and then many other agencies. Now, look at what I'm trying to present over here is there are different levels. And then within those different levels, the irrigation activities are basically revolving around in this area. That means you will see at the locality level, municipality is there, Gaon Palika is there, and Gaon Palika municipality, there are 753 of them. And they are also to some extent responsible for irrigation management, one way or other way. Then there are cooperatives, and there are water users association as the participatory organization, and there are other indirect stakeholders. So what I'm trying to show here, there are many other agencies involved in this one. As I have already told you, federal list, state list, and say concurrent list in this one. And that is not enough. National Planning Commission 2018 came with the proposal of project classification and distribution guidelines for different agencies. And under this one, water resources sector, under the jurisdiction of federal system, they said, Tarai, 5,000 hectares and above will be the responsibility of the federal system, up to 100 hectares and above in the hill area, and the 50 hectares around the Himal area, interprovincial system. The same way, 200 to 500 hectares in Tarai, 50 hectares, which all of you are aware of. This is provided by the National Planning Commission, but it is not specifically said what will be the situation of the provincial level. I'm not at the local level, Gaon Palika and the say Gaon Palika and the Nagar Palika about this role of irrigation. So now looking at the scenario of Department of Water Resources and Irrigation, based on Irrigation Handbook of 2078, what we see that about 24 items were described over here, where almost all irrigation projects are included over here. Nothing is left to neither province nor to the local units. The same way, what we see that big projects, 31 of them are irrespective of size, come under this jurisdiction of Department of Water Resources and Irrigation. Therefore, what is the budget of this Department of Water Resources and Irrigation for this year is about 32 billion Nepalese rupees. Now, let us see how this how is the resources allocated in terms of this thing. For the natural resources, about 7% budget is allocated in 2021 federal budget. And out of that federal budget, if we look at the Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation, we see 93% budget is allocated for the federal, 5% for the province, and then less than that to the local organization. And if we look at the provincial budget allocation for the irrigation, we will see that in province 1, it is only 9% of the total budget what they have. That means 1 billion. Whereas if we take all these together, it is less than 32 billion rupees. That means the province here, according to the constitution, says that the main development activities will take place at the provincial level and the delivery of services will take place at the local level. That means the Gaon Palika and the other palikas. However, the projection and the distribution of resources indicated the other way around. That means federalism is a kind of strong step towards decentralization, whereas federalism here in Nepal seems to me from the resource allocation centralized towards the federal government. So this issue has to be carefully looked at when we talk about institutional development. When we look at the irrigation, it is not only the construction of irrigation, it's not only the water, it is not only the flow of irrigation, it is not only the civil engineering construction, it is not only the understanding of the soil type or the productivity from the agriculture. We have to look at what produce we make and how that produce is brought to the market where the farmers can make profit. As of now, we are not getting that kind of response from the farmers. Farmers keep telling that we cannot make any kind of profit. And the government record shows that billions and billions worth of rice are yet to be imported. And then in one report, it is said that each day we import about 6 crore rupees of vegetable from India. This is what we are seeing, a kind of scenario in our irrigation sector. Therefore, I'm going to conclude over here. History tells us that our system survived for centuries because of robust institutions behind it. We have to take into consideration in designing our institutional arrangement. Need to recognize this institution. Federal large-scale irrigation system be managed by either Department of Irrigation or let there be a kind of separate board to look after these different irrigation systems whereby the revenue, revenue load to the government be minimized. Then the province be taken more responsibility in terms of irrigation management if the province are going to be effective institution. As of now, many of you are aware there are divisions. Some groups say that federalism is good, another group, even the political leaders who are in the government, they keep saying that federalism is going to destroy the whole country because the kind of arrangement being made over here cannot be sustained by the economy of Nepal. So FMIS is self-organized and self-governed system, and in many countries they have been making effort to change from centralized central governed system to decentralized farmer-centered system, farmer-managed irrigation system. So we have to consider that part. It is not that we are going to take care of only, those aspects. The important aspect over here is we have farmer-managed irrigation system. There are over 16,000 units, and those 16,000 units cannot be managed by any of them. They have to be autonomous, self-governing institutions, and these self-governing institutions are to be supported by the local palikas. Local palikas must have a kind of organization whereby they can provide financial support, and then in order to provide that kind of financial support, some kind of organization will have to come out to provide that kind of support. The way how manpower is allocated to palikas and to town palikas and nagar palikas, that manpower will not be able to support to that 16, 17,000 irrigation system. Therefore, we need to create a kind of self-governing autonomous organizations, support fund kind of idea, which has been in line of thinking over a period of time that has to be promoted. So registration of this system at the political level has to be initiated as soon as possible. Manpower training is to be initiated immediately. So these are some of the points I would like to raise over here for discussion. And
thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. We highly appreciate your very, very precious information in the form of presentation. It's really a great learning personally for me, and I hope to many of us. So there are a couple of comments and questions already in the chat box. Let me try to pick some of them depending upon time that allows us. Basista Adhikari sir has written that in early days of DOI, chief engineer were the head of the institution. I believe this is a comment. If there is anything that he wants to clarify, please, you can use 1 minute. Basista sir. It's just a comment, I understand, if I understand correctly.
Yes, yes, namaste. मैले खाली सम्झाउन मात्रै खोजे हो पहिले डाइरेक्टर जनरल थिएनन् सबै इन्स्टिट्युसनहरुमा चाहिँ चिफ इन्जिनियरहरु थियो त्यति बेला त्यो भएर मेदनी प्रसाद भट्टराई चाहिँ चिफ इन्जिनियर हुनुहुन्थ्यो त्यति बेला भन्न त्यही मात्रै खोजे हो.
All right, thank you so much, sir. We have one more query from Dr. Dipendra Purush Thakal. Can you please explain how are the conflicts resolved at different levels, especially in case of use of water? Prachanda sir, do you like to respond to this?
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
This is very, very important issue, and one of the functions of irrigation management is to look at conflict resolution also. As you might be aware, one of the major conflicts in the rural area of Nepal is around water share and water use during peak agriculture period, and many crimes take place during this period of time. However, there are different ways of conflict resolution. One is settling with the property right. People are allowed and allocated certain defined rights, and those defined rights are supported by the local community or by law. So this is one way. And the second one is by suppressing the use of water, the conflict oftentimes will be resolved. That means when there is scarcity of water, you will find rotation system in water distribution. And that rotation system in water distribution means that everybody will get certain quantity of water at certain given time of the time period. That's why the possibility of conflict resolution will be minimized. And there are again ways of say going through the legal court in terms of water right or water conflicts. For example, if you go to say Yampa Fund and the Satyasay Fund, they all the time had a kind of water conflict, and that water conflict, they went to the court, and finally court said, whatever you have been doing traditionally, you follow the same kind of thing. So sometimes it is the kind of mutual agreement between the people. Okay, you do this and we do this kind of thing. So water conflict is important, but there are different ways of settling water conflict in different communities. If you go to say Mustang, they have a kind of special water court to settle the water disputes, and they have different ways of settling that kind of water dispute. Thank you very much for bringing this very, very important issue on water management.
Thank you so much, sir. There is one more question from Dr. Dhruva Panta. So in the context, in the transboundary, in the context of managing irrigation system, how can we do better for inter-provincial and inter-local context? And also he's putting transboundary implications. I'm not sure I got the point clearly. Dr. Dhruva Panta sir, would you like to clarify your question, please?
Well, basically what I was thinking that there might be implications in case of some of the irrigation systems which has transboundary implications encompassing two provinces or two local areas. In that case, how do we set up, what type of institution that we can visualize for these interprovincial and interlocal level management of these irrigation systems, which has transboundary in the sense which encompasses the boundaries of two provinces or the two local institutions. I think what type of institution, but that is an important aspect to look into also. That's what I think.
If I may go by the terms of the Constitution, as they have this what you might call federal list, then provincial list, and concurrent list, and that of this local list. They specifically say any project beyond two boundaries of province that will come under the center. So central management institute will be there. And then in case of two palikas, that will have to come under this provincial management. So these are the things which have been clearly spelled out. But what type of organization that is to be yet developed by, say, Department of Irrigation will be responsible as far as two provinces, two provincial sphere project. In the same way, the Ministry of Infrastructure Development will be responsible for two palikas kind of thing. If two wards, then it is the palika responsibility, and the wards will be the self-contained one. So it is well spelled out over there, but how do you go about is something different. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope Dr. Panta got an answer. And there is one more query from Dr. Himra Sharma, sir. You know, many policy documents advocate for river basin organization or river basin offices. Now the country is in the process of developing river basin plans. So would you please shed some more lights on the formulation of river basin organizations under the federal system? And also he adds this to the WEX. What is your candid view on the role of the WEX, and do we need to reorganize DWRI in the federal context? These are the three questions he has embedded. One is how the river basin organization should be formulated under the federal context. Second is the role of the WEX to address the current challenges. And third is, do we need to reorganize DWRI for that purpose? Prachanda, sir.
These are very, very interesting questions that was revolving around my, giddy for some time. The river basin, for the overall development of a country, river basin approach is the appropriate type of approach. Because
Prachanda, sir, may I request to stop this presentation, please, so that everyone can be seen in the screen?
Just a minute, sir.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Please go ahead.
The river basin approach, I agree with the river basin approach. We have to go through with this river basin approach. There is, I don't see any kind of relation between the federal system and the river basin approach as such, from my perspective. I work in a country called Nigeria. Nigeria has a federal system, but they have 7 river basin development authorities, and I work in one of those river basin authorities. And river basin authorities have been given a kind of special type of mandate for the water development, water utilization, water monitoring, water allocation, and all those kinds of things. So it is a kind of micro level management within a kind of spatial feature. This has to be done over here. As of now, what I have been seeing that without having this kind of basin approach, it has become a kind of silo approach, that irrigation will be looking at only the irrigation one, and then hydropower is looking at only the hydropower, and others are looking only at one kind of aspect. So river basin approach might be a kind of approach that we have to promote in course of time. So this is important issue. I agree with that point. Now, works as a kind of special consideration we have to make. Works is now considered as a kind of Faltu organization, which is quite unfortunate. Our country does not have any kind of sense as of now to promote research-based, evidence-based decision-making. We just go by some kind of emotional-based decision-making process. And the institution like WEX was established at that time when it was very crucial to have negotiations with the neighboring countries. And then during those times, Nepal did not have enough evidence-based kind of information. That time, this organization, as the research organization, came to support to the Ministry of Water Resources of that time. But unfortunately, in course of time, it was not considered as that important. Not only WEX, along with WEX, many institutions really became defunct in Nepal and were made defunct on the whim of some people. But I would like to see WEX come as a very strong institution, research supported institution, which will be able to influence on the water utilization sector of Nepal. And then Department of Water Resources and Irrigation, while looking at that, and the ministry, what I'm seeing over here, the big projects like Morang Sunsari, and that kind of project to be managed by now, let's see, by the big board. Let's have the board and manage by the board. That's my thinking. And the same way other Narayani and other projects also be managed by the board, and ministry just have a kind of overall supervision on the board. And then this Department of Water Resources and Irrigation do a kind of say planning and research activities. That will be kind of appropriate way to have the better utilization of human resources that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. There are a couple of more comments and queries. One comment from Basista sir is a kind of his viewpoint. We need an institution for managing operation and maintenance of infrastructure in the local scale in general, and with the irrigation infrastructure in particular, because they are providing a lot of assistance and we need some institution. This is, I think, feedback. And he also has one question, because there was one question from Dr. Panther earlier about transboundary context. So he put a question that how do we deal with the provincial kind of diversion like Kaligandaki and Tinau? What is your view on that? If you could respond very quickly, that will be appreciated.
All right. Let me share with you. As you know, I'm not expert on this river diversion issue. Therefore, it is beyond my capacity to explain about this Kali Gandaki Tinau diversion issue. Secondly, this operation and maintenance. Now, operation and maintenance is a kind of issue. As soon as some kind of project is developed and some organization is already there. Therefore, I don't see all the time we need to have a kind of Department of Irrigation or Department of, say, Ministry of Infrastructure Development of the province. We can assign that kind of responsibility to the concerned unit by itself. Then only we will be able to do it. Otherwise, what we are trying to do over here is a kind of centralized system. And secondly, I would like to suggest over here that what can change our mind. We have not changed our mind as yet. We are thinking as yet with the traditional, kind of experiences that we have. Can we go beyond what we have been experiencing now and do something different? Let the people have more responsibility, not in the way the Upabhokta Samiti that we have corrupted, but trying to make the group of people who can, say, take the responsibility of managing the thing. And in many cases, many people, my friends might not agree with me, in many cases, farmer managed irrigation system in many cases have been doing things by themselves with the minimum support of the government. We can learn a lot from them.
Thank you, sir. And one more question from Dr. Stephanie Leder, who used to work in Nepal. In the far western, there are agricultural knowledge centers, which have been found to be useful to reach out to the even in remote villages. How about lobbying irrigation and FMIS at that level? What do you think about that?
Stephanie, thank you very much for your participation. She has been here in Nepal for a long time, and she has done lots of work. At present, she has been working in far western Nepal on migration and the irrigation, impact on irrigation. I agree with you that that kind of center, what we call Krishi Gyan Kendra, what they call it in Nepali, that has become a kind of new center of innovative activities. And if we can add irrigation and then farmer managed activities, that might be a very good idea. Let us try it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question from, there are two questions, then we will conclude it. Sorry, we may go 2 or 3 more minutes beyond 6 p.m. There is a provincial mechanism in our country which should be given more manpower, resources, and the role to develop and manage irrigation system within each province. What do you think about this? This is the question from Mahendra Bahadur Gurung, sir. If you can give a very quick answer.
Mahendra, sir, thank you very much. And you have been the advisor to the, Province 1. What I would say over here, manpower development should be the first priority. Without manpower, quality manpower development, nothing will happen. And who is to take the responsibility is the important thing. Now, the provincial government has to take the initiative. Still, the provincial governments are looking for a kind of support and kind of support from the center, which the center alone will not be able to give it. Therefore, let us make the provincial aware that that they have to create manpower by themselves.
All right, thank you, sir. And the last question we have, perhaps for this session, is from Chudaraj Dakal, sir. How can we make a link up between Project Bank of National Planning Commission and WEX in case of water resources use? Do you have any quick feedback on this? Narendra Paudel, sir, would you please mute yourself? Thank you. Yes,
Pandey, sir, will you please repeat the, I got
okay. How can we make a link up between Project Bank of NPC and the WEX in case of water resources use?
So this is interesting thing. This National Planning Commission and the WEX, whatever kind of information National Planning Commission supposed to receive, that has to be linked with the WEX itself. The WEX is not separate from the National Planning Commission as far as water resources utilization is concerned. As of now, as I told you, we have been working in terms of silo approach. That National Planning Commission has its own project bank, and then WEX has another project bank, and then Ministry of Water Resources, another project bank. That should not be the case. My thinking is WEX is the resource for the water resources, and National Planning Commission has to seek a kind of technical advice from WEX. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are almost at the end of the session. There are no more questions in the chat box. Before concluding, may I request because we are talking about institutions, so it might be good to have some viewpoint from the Director General of Department of Water Resource Irrigation, and also he is the President of NENCID. Sushil sir, if you are comfortable, would you please mind sharing some of your thoughts about institutions?
Thank you, Vishnu Pandey sir. And thank you, Dr. Prachanda Pradhan sir, for your valuable and most precious presentations. By these presentations, we come to know that history of the irrigations, their management systems, their evolutions. So the challenging thing is how to continue the past our legacy of the development and the management in the present context. As all we know that there are three responsible governance: central, provincial levels, and local levels. How to make clear demarcations of the roles and responsibilities and make them effective in each responsibility. One of the most important things is the service providers from the lower tiers is useful in other contexts also. So the local levels, by building their development and management capacity, if we could develop some systems that may be more useful and beneficial for the sectors. One solutions I conceive is registrations of the FMIS in local levels. Like that, all suggestions are very useful. And in the course of the times, during we are also in the process of policy drafting. So all suggestions will be valuable for including in our policy. So thanks. I would like to thanks again for all participants and valuable suggestions, and again express my sincere thanks to Prachanda sir. And in the coming day also, we expect continuation of your suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushil sir, for your, I think, very positive attitude towards the reform needs and receiving the suggestion and taking it forward in the all the possible ways. We really appreciate it. So finally, we would like to thank you once again to our Prachanda sir for enlightening us with the various aspects of the water institutions, specific focus on the irrigation institutions. We really appreciate it. And also we thank all the participants for making this discussion very interactive and lively by posing various types of queries so that we can dig out further from the knowledge bank of Prachanda sir. We all are benefited out of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Pandey sir, for your very skillful moderation. And I assure to our Director General Sahib, my support all the time to the Department of Water Resources and Irrigation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And before concluding, like our tradition, we will announce the next episode of the talk program. The next episode would be a kind of panel discussion, which will focus on realizing the multi-purpose water infrastructure projects, breaking the bottlenecks. It will be held, like always, in the second Friday of Nepali month, which is 13th Fagun 2078 BS or 25th February 2022 at usual time, 5 p.m. Nepal time, which is GMT plus 5:45. So we'll have at least 3 panelists. Krishna Prasad Nepal sir, Deputy Director General. He has a long experience on the dealing with this kind of projects, and he will be talking on behalf of the department. We will have Professor Dr. Hari Pandey sir. He always expressed critical views on water infrastructure development, and we want to have a very interesting discussion in the session. And also we will have Dr. Vishnu, who is water resource expert and also an associate professor and principal of Universal Engineering and Science College. He has engaged in various types of such studies in Nepal through the consulting work and as an expert, and we aim to get valuable insight from his expertise. We are also trying to have one international expert in the panel, but we are trying our best. Hopefully we'll be able to get it. With this, and these are the details for the registration, we will be sharing these announcements shortly through our regular mechanism, email and our social media, and also sharing from our own individual networks. With this, and these are the contact details of our NENCID, which we all know. With this, we would like to conclude today's session. Thank you so much to all of you for your active participation and contribution to the NENCID initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you very much indeed.